Good morning, my name's Peter Buckingham. I'm the Managing Director of a mapping, demographic and analysis company based in Melbourne. Many service businesses don't actually have a site associated with them. Some do, some might have a central location to work out of, and if they do, it is probably what we'd call a fairly destination-based location, more in the background where they can have a base to do what they've got to do. But whether you're a tree lopping business or many other types of businesses, you may need equipment, you've got to start from somewhere. Most service businesses there are two types of service businesses. One is what we call B2C, business to consumer, and that's really all tied about how many people live in an area and what type of person they are and what they want to have done. So if I'm in lawn mowing, pool cleaning, dog washing, they are pure B2C businesses. The second type is what we call a B2B businesses, and that is all it's about is how many other businesses and type of business are in the area. So examples of that might be test and tag businesses, copying, sign writing, all the things that one business needs from another. So there's two sets of data sets that really come into play with any of this information. The first is the census data. We do a census in Australia every 5 years. The next one is due in 2016. A census costs $400 million, and it really is the one stake in the ground that we can look at to see where people are. The ABS website, Australian Bureau of Statistics, abs.gov.au, gives us tremendous access to the census. We have, under census, quick stats, and in quick stats you can look up every postcode, suburb in Australia, how many people, average income, ethnicity, many things you may want to look at. So if I'm a service business, that is probably the first thing I'll be looking at if I'm a B2C business. The ABS also provide data on how many businesses are in any area. So companies like us are able to work with that and provide information for the B2B part. So whether I'm a copying business or a test and tag, that's the data I'm looking at. Now, many businesses need to have territories. Territories can be partly that you want to have an exclusive area for yourself. It can be because you actually need allocation of jobs, and there has to be a correct way to allocate a job that comes into a call centre to the relevant person. So we do a lot of work in territory planning. And we find that territories, unless you're going over around 300 territories in Australia, we recommend people use postcodes. Australia postcodes are the one thing that most people understand. Once we go over 300 territories, and we have a few jobs recently we've done that, we then have to go down to suburb level. So there's 2,800 postcodes in Australia and about 16,000 suburbs. Many of those are in the country. So whether you are taking a territory, you need to know that there has been some logic in having that territory built. If it's what I call a beer and pizza map, which is just purely some black lines, often done by some enthusiastic franchisees with the franchisor, a couple of bottles of red wine, a beer and a pizza, then that can be a major problem. We're a big one in believing that territory planning has to be logical and done so that each territory offers similar amount of potential. If your potential franchisor has done the beer and pizza map, well, I can only suggest you ask what their logic has been. Good franchise systems will invest some money in having their territory planning done, or they can do it themselves if they so desire. Like I said, my aim is so the franchisor can stand there with his hand on his heart and say, we've made it so each territory offers similar potential. So things that come into territory planning normally are a variable to start with, which can be something like how many households are in the area. Then may have some multipliers that encourage businesses that are good, gives them a positive. The one thing we use very significantly is a measure called CEFA, Socio-Economic Index for Areas. You can look that up on the web. And CEFA is the government's way of deciding whether an area is high socio-economic or low socio-economic, or everything in between. So we will often, if we're doing something with high CEFA, where the client says that is our market, we will give more value to an area of higher CEFA than an area of lower CEFA. By the time we bring all the areas together, they may not all be exactly the same number of households, but areas that are more suitable to what we're selling may require less households, and areas that are not so good for what we're trying to sell may require more households. At the end of the day, what the plan is to try and make it so each territory, no matter what we're selling, offers similar amount of potential. I hope this gives you some ideas on territory planning, and my final point, as I said earlier, is when you're going into a franchise, please make sure there's some logic in the territory planning that has been done.